Okay, welcome back to another exciting episode of Behind the Stickers. I'm your host, Dasa, and today we're going to be talking about the latest gift drop. Here we have the latest gift drop ripped into TGS, put into After Effects so you can see how it's built. And this is from the latest, most ridiculous NFT auction I think I've ever seen. Like, the change in the format of the gift drop, that's a whole other topic. But that was crazy. I wonder what's going to happen to the floor of that based on like the massive discrepancy between the highest auction bid and the lowest auction bid that both got them. So anyways, this is how you can see how it's built. We've ripped it from TGS, put it into JSON, put it into After Effects, and now you can kind of get a better idea of how all of this works and the process. And you'll notice that it is all fucky. Like it still looks kind of similar because it is still like a silver, so it's a black and white in general. The gift is. So if we actually like watch it, we can see it kind of looks normal, but you'll notice that all the gradients do not import correctly. Every time you import gradients, you have to manually reverse engineer them. You have to rebuild them yourselves. It is not as simple as just click on the color and change it. It is not quite that simple. So actually, if we look here, you can see these little bubbles that pop up. And like this is a really simple fix to do because these are just like the flashes of the shines that you kind of put on the tip of something metal to make it look shiny. And so you can see that that's built by two. You can see there in the down there in the timeline. You can see down here, here's the two layers right there. And you can kind of see what it is exactly, like what it's built off of. And it's just two layers. It's just a big circle gradient, and then it's an X shape with a circle gradient fill. Now, like all the gradients get turned into this simple, starts white on one side, turns black on the other. That is what it gets imported as, and you'll have to change that. But these are really easy to fix, so I can just show you how that would work. It's real simple to fix that part, and then I'll show you how obnoxiously complicated it is to fix the other parts. So if you look at this part, you can see where these little circle shines are coming in. I'm going to grab one of the circle shines. So we're going to grab that. We're going to go over there. We're going to find the circle. We're going to look at that gradient. You actually can't see what I'm doing because the option won't come up. But what I'm doing here is I'm grabbing one of the ends that's black. I'm making it white. And then I'm taking that end on the far end of the circle color gradient. And I'm just making it have a 0 opacity. So the gradient will then go from full opacity white to 0 opacity white. And that creates a simple, very, very simple, just sort of like flare effect, if you will, sort of gradient. So we can then do the exact same thing to the X. If we can click on the X, we can find the old, what you calls it. It's kind of hard to see because that the context window isn't coming up, but you can kind of see what I've done. I've moved both the circle and I've moved the line, the X, and I've turned it into, oh, can't quite get it. Come on now. There, oh, dope, there it is. You can kind of see what I've done. So just by simply taking that gradient and adding that opacity 0 on the outside and making everything white, you can see that basically I've recreated what that shine is supposed to do. It's not one-to-one. Sometimes they use a lot more like layers in their gradients, and they use a lot more different opacity effects and whatnot. But in general, that's roughly how I would reverse engineer that. And so I think it's kind of interesting. You can kind of see that process. Grab the color, change the gradient, fix it, basically reverse engineer it. I often have another monitor up where I have the actual GIF playing or the sticker playing of the gift. And then I can look at that, and I can often use the dropper tool to get the exact colors. And so I'm trying to get everything as one-to-one, but it will never be one-to-one with the current flow. Maybe that's because Telegram hasn't updated its fork of LottieFiles since 2021. And LottieFiles in general, like the website that runs LottieFiles and all that, that has a lot of the resources and tools, isn't fully compatible with TGS. They say they are, but I've been in talks with them in the support. I've been going back and forth trying to explain to them the workflow and the process and why certain things don't work without a Python script. And maybe, just maybe, if they could look into figuring out how we could get this streamlined. It would be so much easier for new artists to get onboarded into doing this workflow if they could do it without using Python script. I'm like no coding expert. I'm a little autistic, but I'm not coding autistic. So whenever have to use the Python script, it's me and ChatGPT going back and forth, and me going, "Are you sure? Are you looking at the same screenshot I am? I'm pretty sure you're wrong." And it's like, "I don't know. I think you're wrong." And then we go back and forth, and then I call it a stupid robot. And eventually it's like, "You know what? I'm sorry. You were right." And then eventually it helps me figure it out. But now let's look at the much, much, much more complicated part. So you can already see all the different layers that make up this GIF. And on the bottom left, there's not that many layers in the animation. So it's not that complicated per se. There's a lot of path changing to make it tilt and to make it turn, because it's not as simple just rotate the shape. So if we actually click on one of these, we're going to be clicking on the main plane, the main shape, and I'll show you how many gradients are required to be able, okay, on the side there. I'm going to scroll through them real quick. So there's all those, and you might see it looks like gibberish. I used to think that was like a foreign language or something I didn't understand. Because a lot of the times the words are, it's whatever the artist who made the original file, you get to see what they called it. So a lot of the times you're learning Russian words, Chinese words, etc., etc. But on the right there, the reason why it's in all that weird code gibberish is because when using gradients and Python scripts and exporting and trying to keep it all within the TGS format, there's certain things that you can't do. You can't have spaces. You can't really use certain like case sensitive things, symbols, stuff like that. So in general, most people just type gibberish, or they have a script that automatically generates gibberish for them. And that allows it to somehow, I don't quite understand how it works, but that's why it works for some reason. But I don't know exactly what you're saying, but that's what I'm saying. So if you look at one of these, so there's maybe like, I don't know, I couldn't really see there. There's like 20 layers or maybe 18 layers, something like that, of all different gradients with different opacities that are supposed to be layered on top of each other to create that sort of like shine effect. Now, right now, everything is flat except for what I changed with that shine. So nothing is see-through right now. And because of that, you don't quite get that same sort of shine. If you look at like the Precious Peach gift, it blows my mind how many gradient layers that must have. One day I'll break it down and I'll go into it, but this one is fresh, so I feel like a GIF skin for this would be real nice. So I'm going to try to make a GIF skin for this guy. But if you look at how this works, I'm going to try to grab a random layer, just the top layer, just the most, because they get rendered in order. So I'm going to grab the top layer of those gradients, and I'm going to adjust it. You won't be able to see me adjust it because that screen doesn't pop up, but I'm going to try to change it to a red color, and hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm clicking the first one, deciding between which one, maybe grab the first one, and then I'm going to grab that color. It's just a basic linear gradient. Now I'm changing it to red. So now you can see right there, that's the only part I'm changing. So I have to do that like 18 different times, and each time I have to reverse engineer manually what that's going to look like. It is not easy to do that. It is not simple to make these things, to reverse engineer them. The workflow is very convoluted. So hopefully after looking at this, you can kind of understand just how hard this process is. When you see a sticker that's flat and very colorful, like a cartoon, thick outlines, that's pretty easy to work with. And when you import it, it generally works as intended. There's a few gimmicks here and there that are kind of hard, but in general, it just works when you plug and play. When it comes to any sticker that has come out recently, especially the GIFs that all use these gradients and opacity layers, it is very difficult to be able to reverse engineer them to create your own skin. And hopefully now, after watching this, you can understand why. It's hard out here as a sticker artist. It's not easy. Most people do not realize how difficult a lot of this is. And like, you'll make a sticker, you'll do whatever, and then somebody might be like, "Oh, that's awesome. Can you make this do this instead?" And it's like, I mean, yes, I can theoretically do anything, but some things are not as simple as just click it, change it. Most things are very difficult and they require a lot of finesse. It's 60 frames a second, 3 seconds long. That's 180 frames. So if you had to do hand animation on every single frame, which sometimes you do if the path changes, that it's going to be 180 times on all these different layers, on all these different gradients. So just multiply 180 by however many layers there are and however many gradient layers there are. And that's roughly how many times you'll have to manually edit things to be able to get it to even look close to accurate. So sticker making is not easy. It's definitely only gotten harder with all these new GIFs and all this new whatever that you're trying to stay on top of. And there really isn't any good resource. There's not like a one page on ton.org or anything like that that's like, okay, here's how you do all this. It doesn't exist, and I almost wonder if partly why it doesn't exist is because it is kind of bullish that it's hard. You can't use AI to create any of this. You can use AI to help. Like you can ask AI, hey, how do I do this? But AI also doesn't understand exactly what the TGS formatting is and how any of that works. A lot of the times, to even create any of the GIF concepts that I've made in the past, I basically had to just tell ChatGPT and Grok and whatever else and Claude. I used multiples because they weren't working with me. I was telling them, like, I know you think that this isn't possible, but I'm telling you it is possible. Somebody figured it out. So can you let's just assume for 1 second that it is possible. Can you help me figure out how it could be done? And then through a roundabout ways, after 10 plus hours, I was able to figure out how to use a Python script to eventually make it work. But hopefully that was interesting. Hopefully you know a little bit more now about how the gradients work, how advanced sticker making works. Hopefully I'll have a cool skin from this. I wonder what it's going to be. What do you guys think the skin I'm going to make is going to be? Let's see it out. What is that? Was that a nice little crack there in the middle? A little... Wonder what else has a crack in it. Let's see what we can do. Okay. All right, everybody have a good day. Take it with a grain of salt. Be a good person. Call your mom. Peace.